Hello everyone, this is Duststorm from Podtacular, and we're doing another Pod TV analysis video. This time we're going to be analyzing the Spartan Ops gameplay video that we got from 343 earlier this week during E3. Now the first set of sequences, we're going to see Spartan 4s fighting off the Covenant, and then this last set we're going to see Spartan 4s fighting off some of the Promethean enemies. So this first set of sequences, we have the Covenant. It looks like they're on some kind of stronghold that they hold, and we're rushing in as Spartan 4s through some kind of lava flow. Now we can see that some of the textures aren't quite final yet. You can tell from the deployable covers that some of the textures are still being worked through. And this first clip I want to stop on right here is one of the Spartan 4s using a plasma turret. So we have the plasma turret confirmed in the game. And right here we have an elite doing something new that we haven't quite seen before. He's either teleporting in or spawning in. I'm going to say more like teleportation because I don't think he would spawn right in the middle of a group of Spartan 4s. And especially with Spartan 4s to their back, I don't think a spawning system would work like that. It could be spawning, but my feeling is some kind of teleport, or maybe elites coming out of camo. I'm not exactly sure, so I'll leave that up to you guys to decide, but I think it's some kind of new teleporting ability that the Covenant have, or it's some part of the technology on Requiem that they're using. This next set of clips, we see that the accent on the Covenant Phantoms are now green instead of blue. I don't know if this is something like the factions in Halo 3 where the Allied Covenant were green. So if you remember the green Phantoms from the Covenant mission on Halo 3, I'm wondering if there's going to be something like that, or maybe it's just a visual change to all the Covenant technology in general. So it's either going to be aesthetic, or this is the faction of the Covenant that's still against the humans, and maybe we'll see some Allied Covenant throughout the game somewhere. Moving on, we see some scenes of, looks like fighting over a bridge that's kind of overflowing lava, so I'm wondering if you fall in the lava, if you die instantly. In this next scene, we can see that there's a new kind of Covenant drop pod. This one actually comes down, drops off its enemies, and then goes back up to wherever it came from. So I'm wondering if we're going to see more frequent drops of Covenant enemies than we did in Halo Reach with the drop pods in Firefight. It looks like we can fight Promethean and Covenant within the same chapter or Spartan Ops mission. We also see an example here of Promethean Vision, one of the Spartan 4s using a thruster pack, and someone's actually using a turret, so that means the machine gun turret is confirmed on there as well, and you'll probably be able to rip it off its stand. This next clip is a good demonstration of 3 of the armor abilities that we're going to see used in the game. We have the thruster pack right here. Now it looks like this guy is going up in flames almost, and you can't even tell that he's there from behind. It also looks like you're going to be able to move very quickly from point A to point B, but it doesn't look like you're going to be able to fire your weapon or really turn that much. We do know that the thruster pack is one direction, so once you're going in one direction you can't turn, so it's very limited, but it's a very quick way to get around the map. Behind the person using the thruster pack, we have an example of someone using the Hardlight shield, and then above those two we have what looks like it's a jetpack. Now I don't know if the jetpack is separate from the thruster pack, but it looks like they are actually 2 different armor abilities, because the guy in the jetpack is actually moving a little slower, and the effect on the pack that's being used on the back of the Spartan looks different as well. The thruster seems to have more of a lateral movement to it, where the jetpack is going to have more of a vertical movement to it. This next sequence of scenes is Spartan 4s fighting some of the new Promethean enemies. We can see right here where one of the Watchers picked up the grenade that you threw and threw it right back at you. We can also see some use of the phase walking and the teleportation that these guys have, and that's going to be really interesting to fight against because they're basically invulnerable while they're in that. Here we have a first-person view of someone using a Hardlight shield. You can tell that when you're using it, you're walking very slow, and you're only protected from the front, and you can't shoot. Right here we see a nice example of a Spartan 4 assassinating a knight, so it's nice to know that we're going to be able to do that, and it looks like the knights burn up after you kill them. That pretty much covers the video, but I want to pull out a few more details out of this video before we wrap up this one. We have some first-person shots of an actual carbine and pistol in action. We now know the insignia for the Hardlight shield. It looks pretty much like a snowflake, but you can definitely tell that it resembles a shield. And it looks like you're going to be able to use it for about 5 to 6 seconds. For Promethean Vision, it looks like all the enemies that are directly in front of you and not obstructed by some kind of view is going to be solid red, where if they're behind an object, it's going to be an outlined red. We have a new element of gameplay in Halo 4 as well. We have lava, so I don't know if that's going to be similar to water, where if you can like step into it and you'll be fine, like if your shields can hold the lava back, or maybe if once you go into the lava you start taking damage and your shields start going down, and then maybe when you submerge you finally die, or your armor can light on fire. So it'll be interesting to see how lava affects this gameplay if you accidentally step in it. The only place that we saw a HUD being used is when we were given the example of using the Hardlight shield. So I'm wondering if we're going to see some new game elements in the HUD for Spartan Ops that we haven't seen anywhere else. The Watchers also look more like a support class than they do an actual fighting class, because you can see they fly around and not really fire at you much, but they provide protective cover for their knights. They do pack a weapon, but it's very weak. And that covers this video. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and stay tuned for more E3 coverage, and subscribe.